everyone, it's Ria here. And in this video, I want to talk to you about a comment I get very often, which is that, yeah, I didn't do as well as I wanted to in that last contest because the contests just get harder and harder every year. And the reason this is so important to me is because, like most of my videos, this is something that frustrated me when I was competing. I'd prepare super hard for a contest, I wouldn't do as well as I thought I would do. It's just because the contests were harder than the previous year's ones, and it was just frustrating. And this is something that I wish someone would have told me when I was competing. So I want to tell it to all of you so that you don't really fall into this frustrating trap. Okay, so when I was competing and this would sort of happen to me, I guess the main shift, the main breakthrough that helped me turn this around was realizing that when I blame the increasing difficulty of the contest, well, essentially, I'm blaming something that I have no control over, right? I cannot control how hard the contest is going to be, so if I say, yeah, it's because the contest is harder, well, now I have a perfect excuse. Nothing I can do about that, so, it's not my fault, what can I do, type thing. And that sort of attitude, I didn't just take it for the increasing difficulty of the contest, right? I had it in other areas too. I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's a math problem, I'm not really a math person. Hence, I just didn't get it. And, it's true that I'm not a math person, but there are IOI medalists, IOI gold medalists who never made Amy. I never made Amy. So you clearly don't need math for it, and I was just making an excuse. And same thing with the increasing difficulty of contests. Right, sure, the contests are getting difficult, more difficult every year, but there's still the same number of UCICO finalists. There's a similar number of people advancing each division. So really, I was just making an excuse to myself, right? Yes, technically the contests were getting harder, but there were still people advancing, still people succeeding, so it was possible. I just wasn't succeeding. And what really turned that around is I changed it into, okay, what can I do about it? If I say that the problem is the increasing difficulty of the contest, well, now the problem is something that's out of my circle of control. And so nothing I can do about it, I'm helpless. But if I say that the problem is I have not worked hard enough, or I'm not studying the right way, if I say the problem is my skill level was not where it needed to be, well, that's something I have power over. And yeah, it's not easy to admit that, hey, the problem was me. But if you can make that shift, if you can say, hey, the problem was my skill level wasn't where it needed to be, now you have power. Because now fixing it is in your control, right? The increasing difficulty of the contest, that's not in your control. However, your skill level is completely in your control. It's 100% in your control. And so when I made that shift, I said, okay, yeah, the problem is my skill level wasn't where it needed to be. So next month, I'm going to study harder and I'm going to study smarter. I'm going to put more hours into it. I'm going to make sure I'm fully present. I'm going to remove all these distractions. I'm going to do what it takes to make sure my skill level is where it needed to be. Well, my score in a platinum contest that year, I was in 10th grade, it more than doubled in the next contest. And I ended up making UCICO camp that year. Right? So that small shift, you might think, yeah, it's a small thing, Ria. Like, where's the UCICO strategies? And this video is not really about UCICO strategies. And that's what you're looking for. I have other videos on my channel about that, but I really think you should pay attention to this, especially if this is something that you're experiencing. Because, yeah, the contest will get harder this year. Almost guaranteed, right? And that's not in your control. What is in your control is your skill level. So instead of complaining about the contest not being contest being harder, instead of making that excuse, and mind you, it is an excuse because there are people still doing well. There are people still succeeding. There will be people this year contest who are going to succeed, guaranteed. And so if you're not one of those people, you can say, okay, what can I do to join that group of people who are succeeding? Because that group will exist. And so when you change the question to what can I do to get better? Well, now this is something that's in your control. And once you have something that's in your control, you can do something about it and you can do more and you can succeed more. So yeah, this is not like a UCICO strategy video, but it is super critical, right? So check yourself. Like, what sort of excuses are you making whenever you don't do well? It's like, oh, are you making the math excuse I made? Like, oh yeah, it's a math problem and I'm not a math person. Are you making the contest get harder every year excuse? What excuses are you making? And how can you change them into something that's in your power? For me in the math problems, that was, yeah, I'm not going to learn all this math for UCICO, right? In UCICO Gold, you might know that there's some problems show up, that there's a really easy math solution, or there's a more complicated programming solution. Well, I just got better at programming to the point where I could always get the more complicated programming solution. And that was my answer to that. So for you, figure out what excuses you're making And how can you change that to something that's within your control? Because the one that's in your control, you can crush that excuse. You can crush it and you can make sure that you succeed regardless of whatever is going on. So yeah, that's my tidbit of advice for today. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please share it with your friends, leave a like, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see next too. See you later. Bye.